Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yeji, like yay, G. And my channel is all about saving money while traveling because let's be real, traveling can get expensive. So if you don't have to spend money, why would you, right? So if that sounds interesting to you, let's be internet besties and consider subscribing below and let's get into today's video. And today I wanted to talk about going to Disneyland with points. Hence why I'm wearing these ears. I love going to Disney, whether it's Disneyland or Disney World, and I love it even more now because I have a little baby that I can take with me and create memories. I think it's just so special and magical. And this trip to Disneyland was very last minute. And the reason why I wanted to go to Disneyland when I just came back from Disney World, literally like 2 months ago, is because of the Lunar New Year festival that they have going on. And this year, Mickey and Minnie were wearing the Korean costume, like the Korean traditional clothes, which is called hanbok. And this is the first year that Mickey and Minnie wore Korean hanbok. And of course, my daughter being half Korean, I had to take her to see Mickey and Minnie basically. And you know Disney, like Disney's already expensive to begin with, and then having to plan a last minute trip is even more expensive. But if you have points, everything is possible. Well, not everything, but close to in my opinion. So let's talk about flights first, because when I put together a trip, that's the first thing that I look at. Of course, you need to get your dates right first, like decide when you want to go, right? So you have a date in mind. And then the next thing I look at is flights. I look at flight availability and how many points are needed for so-and-so airline. If you have multiple options, that's great. For my family and I was looking at 2 airlines, Southwest and American, and we were flying out of DFW going to LAX. Ultimately, we decided to fly American just because there's a lot more American flights than Southwest, and the time that we wanted to leave just worked out better. But the biggest reason why we decided to go with American is because I used points. So I didn't use American Airlines points. I actually used British Airways Avios to book American Airlines. So we decided to do like a weekend trip because Disneyland, you don't really need that many days. Like we do 1 day each at a park. And so we decided to leave Thursday night and then come back Sunday night. So for 3 people round trip, leaving Thursday, coming back Sunday, if I had to pay cash, it was $1,934.88. And that was like the cheapest option I could find with American Airlines. Now, I don't know about you, but I am not willing to pay like close to $2,000 just on flights to go to Disneyland. Like, no, that's just not happening. I mean, I know it was a last minute trip, so everything was more expensive, right? I mean, I get that, but still, like, I am not willing to spend $2,000 on just flights. Like, no. But I found that the same flight that I wanted to take was available with points through British Airways. So I ended up paying 108,000 miles or Avios to book round trip for the 3 of us. Now, if I used American Airlines points, it would have cost us 85,500 miles to fly American. And many of you might be wondering, okay, so why did I pay more and use British Airways points versus American Airlines points? And I'll explain. And that's because I actually value American Airlines a lot more than British Airways, like miles, not the actual airline or anything like that. So American Airlines miles are actually very hard to come by because they're only partnered with Citi. And even though they're partnered with Citi, it's not like you can transfer Citi points into American Airlines. You have to have like the American Airlines credit cards and get points through like welcome bonuses or putting spend on the card. Of course, there's other ways to get American Airlines miles, such as like booking hotels or using like a cashback portal and stuff like that. But I'm not going to get into that right now. Just comparing transferable options. British Airways is partnered with a lot more banks in America than American Airlines. So it's really easy to transfer points to your British Airways account, and it's just a lot more easier to come by. You can book a Qatar Airlines business class to Doha, you know, like the really nice suites, like they call it Q suites, I think. You can book that with around 75,000 American miles. So by not using American miles to go to Disney, if I had 85K, then I would be able to use that for a business class trip to Doha, or even if you pay a little bit more, you could go all the way to Africa, for instance. So for me, I just think it's a little bit of a waste to use American Airlines miles, hence why we decided to go to the British Airways route. So that is how we decided to book our trip. Next, I wanted to talk about the hotel. So after you decide on the dates and you figure out the flights, then of course you need to figure out where you're gonna stay. We decided to stay outside of the Disney bubble. So we decided on the Fairfield in Anaheim for 2 reasons as well. The first one being we are Marriott Bonvoy members and we do have a lot of Marriott Bonvoy points. And so because this trip was last minute and I didn't want to be spending money, we booked this hotel with points. We spent 177,000 points for 3 nights, and the cash rate for that would have been $1,203.43. Now, if you want to get very technical, we should have used cash over points because in this case, points are worth more. Before I book anything, whether they're flights or hotels, I make sure to go to the points guide, and they have a tool where it shows you how many points are worth each month, whether that is airline or hotel. So in our case, it is a hotel. So I would go to hotels tab and click on my hotel, which was Marriott Bonvoy. And then it would have cost us $177,000. So I put that there. And then the cash rate would have been $1,208.43. And when you put that in, it tells you, hey, you're saving this much by using cash instead of points, and they break it down for you, which is really nice. And even if I'm booking points, I always like to go back and check to see if I should be using points or whether I should be paying cash. But like I said, this trip was very last minute and the goal was to not spend money. So we decided to use points, even though we would have saved $297. For us at this time, we would have rather much spent the points than cash. And of course, that's different with everyone, hence why the phrase your mileage may vary, because you might be spending cash and you're totally okay spending cash, but just we weren't for this trip. And we chose Fairfield because it was like less than a 10-minute walk from the entrance of the parks. Now, 2 years ago, we did a trip to Disneyland and we actually stayed at the Westin, which was like around 20 minutes away from the parks, and we made a huge mistake. And we learned our lesson, and that's why we decided to stay closer towards the entrance this time. And I say this because if you have a young one, a toddler, a baby, or even like a young kid that still takes naps, it's better to go back to the hotel and take a good full nap versus just hoping they fall asleep in the stroller or trying to push their limit by just staying out all day at the parks. It's a lot. Disney is a lot. It's just better to go back to the hotel for that nap time, and we always try to do that. Now, when we stay at the Westin, a 20-minute there and back, that's 40 minutes. And you're walking all day at Disney, like you do not want to walk another 20 minutes to go to your hotel. We learned our lesson. So this time we decided to stay closer, and it worked out great. Like distance-wise, everything was great. It's just that the hotel is just so old. I mean, I think it's just all the hotels in that area in Disneyland, they're all like motel type of hotels. I wouldn't call it a hotel. They're motels. And they're one of those like old school type of motels where it's like the hallways outside and the door to your room is like in the hallway outside, if that makes sense. I just don't like hotels like that. I like the rooms to be indoors. I just feel safer that way. Also like sound, you know, like sure, it's soundproof or whatnot, but you can still hear cars just driving on the street, for instance, you know? So I just like everything inside. And maybe next time we'll stay at the Courtyard, which is like literally right next door. And they have like the indoor version, like the typical hotel style that we know of, not like the outdoor motel type of thing. But other than that, I mean, distance to the parks was like the main thing for us this time. And so it worked out and it was fine. But that's just something to know if you are planning on staying at the Fairfield. Just keep that in mind. It's not a hotel. It's a motel. Now, if we compare the price of the Fairfield to Disneyland hotels, there's 3, the Pixar, the Grand Californian, and the Disneyland Hotel. And I looked at the prices for both the Disneyland Hotel and the Grand Californian. For the same 3 nights, the cheapest room, the Grand Californian would have charged us $1,403. The Disneyland Hotel would have charged $1,311. So they both wouldn't have been too much more expensive than the Fairfield, to be honest, because the Fairfield is only like what, $1,200 something. So I could have technically stayed at like way nicer properties, but we're Bonvoy members and I really want to hit 75 nights this year to be titanium again, because we didn't make titanium last year, we were only platinum. So every chance I get, I just want to make sure that I stay at one brand so I can get my status going. But also another reason is even though they're Disney owned properties, they're not the closest to the parks. I mean, sure, if you're staying at the Grand Californian, then you're right there at DCA. But if you're staying at the Disneyland Hotel, I would say the Fairfield is closer in distance than the Disneyland Hotel. So ultimately, we just decided to stay with a Marriott property. So next, let's talk about the tickets. And this is something very important to talk about because you should never book tickets just through the Disney website. If you can, you should look at third parties such as Undercover Tourist. They might offer a cheaper rate than what Disney offers, or if you have to book through Disney, then I'd say use a credit card that offers like a grocery store multiplier and buy Disney gift cards and then buy Disney tickets with those gift cards. So for the first quarter until end of March, Chase has grocery stores as one of their 5X categories. So you can get 5 points for every dollar you spend using a Chase Freedom card. Another option is the Amex Gold card, which gives you 4X on groceries, or if you have the Target Red card, it gives you back 5%, but that's not like a points card, it's a cashback card, so I don't really recommend it unless of course you're shopping at Target, then that's different. But if you're thinking about like a Disney trip and you're into like points and miles, then I would say go with a card that gives you like bank points instead of cashback. Another option is like if you're a Costco or a Sam's Club member, then sometimes they have like discounted gift cards. For instance, they might sell like $200 gift card for only $180. And whenever you see something like that, you should just jump on it and purchase those gift cards because you can use them for pretty much anything Disney, whether that's hotels, cruises, food, tickets, anything, merchandise, like anything. So for our case, we use the Chase Freedom Flex card to purchase our Disney tickets from our grocery store. And because I bought like multiple gift cards, I had to combine all the gift cards together to purchase a ticket online because for some reason, when you check out at the Disney website, it won't let you add multiple credit cards. So you have to like combine them all together before you check out. But that's the only way to pay with a bunch of gift cards. And one thing to note about purchasing tickets, you should never purchase Disney tickets all at once. So I checked online to see how much it would cost for 2-day tickets for all three of us, like the total price, and it cost $970. $970 for 2-day tickets for 3 people. That is crazy. Now, I checked the dates separately. So if I bought for 3 of us, like one day, and then 3 of us for another day, it costs $760. Yeah, $760. That's a saving of $140. Disney's cheating you. Well, according to my husband. But that's so crazy how they would charge you that much for buying all their tickets at once versus buying them separately each day. And I did a little bit of research on like Reddit and just Google and stuff in general. And turns out Disney has like 7 levels of ticket prices. So for day 1, your ticket is like level 2, and day 2, your ticket is like level 5. Disney is not gonna charge you, oh, one day for level 2 and one day for level 5. No, they'll charge you both for level 5. So it's annoying and a little bit of an extra step, but if you want to save money, buy tickets separately instead of buying them all at once. Because I mean, $760 is still expensive, I would say, for 2 days for 3 people, but that is still better off than $970. So that is how we did our trip to Disneyland. Although it was very last minute, I'm grateful that we were able to go for free, essentially. I mean, not free, obviously, I had to pay for the tickets, but flights and hotels were free. So I consider this trip a win. Before closing the video though, I wanted to give a quick tip on booking dining at Disney because I know that's another important topic to know. I mean, Disney and food kind of go hand in hand. We were lucky enough to get a table at the Blue Bayou on our last day of our trip, and the only reason I got it is through Mouse Dining. I just think it's a very handy tool to know. You can set up to 6 alerts for free. Mouse Dining has helped me with not just Disneyland, but Disney World as well. And you know how much more complicated and competitive it is to get dining reservations at Disney World, especially Topolino's Terrace. OMG, that's like so difficult to get. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case you guys need reservations and couldn't get reservations 60 days in advance or whatnot. As mentioned before, like multiple times throughout this video, the point of this trip was to meet Mickey and Minnie, but also to not spend money or like spend as little as money as possible. So that's why we decided to use points instead of cash. Ultimately, we save money by using points, although my husband would say I'm spending more money to save money because I booked this Disney trip. Anyway, as always, I hope today's video was helpful and informative. Points and miles is a hobby of mine, and I always enjoy spending these miles on like free trips, as I call them. I just think it's so much fun, and it just allows you to have a lot more freedom and options when it comes to booking flights or hotels, in my opinion. But if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll see you guys next time with a different video.